The Gospel according to John, the 2nd chapter. Glory to you, O Lord. The Passover of the Jews was near, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple, he found people selling cattle, sheep, and doves, and the money changers seated at their tables. Making a whip of cords, he drove all of them out of the temple, both the sheep and the cattle. He also poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. He told those who were selling the doves, "Take these things out of here. Stop making my Father's house a marketplace." His disciples remembered that it was written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." The Jews then said to him, "What sign can you show us for doing this?" Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The Jews then said, "This temple has been under construction for 46 years, and will you raise it up in 3 days?" But he was speaking of the temple of his body. After he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they believed the scripture and the word that Jesus had spoken. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. Here's the church. Here's the steeple. Open the doors and see all the people. I love that the fingers, the people, are all in close together. That's something we haven't been able to do for a year now. Gather in close. Yet even in this time when we need to keep our distance and wear face masks and stay close to home, we, the people of God, are finding all sorts of ways to stay connected to God and to one another. Whether we can gather inside our church building or not, we have experienced that I am the church, you are the church, we are the church together. Which brings us to today's Bible story in the temple, where we see a very intense and angry and passionate Jesus. Wow, what is all of this about? And why such a strong response against what has become normal temple practices? Well, let's look behind the temple curtain to consider how some of God's faithful have lost sight of the important truth that I am the church, you are the church, we are the church together. The temple, of course, is the most sacred of places, and God's faithful people travel from all over to come and worship there, especially for Passover and other key festivals. No matter how far, no matter how inconvenient, no matter how expensive, the expectation has developed that those who are truly faithful make pilgrimages to worship at the temple in Jerusalem. And worship deemed good and right and proper required an animal sacrifice, unblemished, of course. Now, because it's challenging to travel with a live animal while ensuring that it remains unblemished, such animals are available for purchase right there at the temple for convenience and for profit. People traveling from all over meant money from all over, so thus the need for money changers who also expect to make a profit. And whatever animal is purchased for the offering reveals a family's economic status. Cattle and sheep for the prosperous, doves for the poor, whether they could afford it or not. Now, I can easily picture people being judged based on the animal or bird that they plan to purchase. Is that really all you can afford? Well, everybody who is anybody offers at least a lamb. So imagine that you are poor and living out in the countryside where you struggle daily to feed and support your family. A pilgrimage to the temple in Jerusalem means no income during that time of travel, plus the expectation that you will have to visit the money changers who may or may not give you a good rate so that you can buy, for hopefully a fair price, a dove for your offering. And of course, while you are in Jerusalem, you will need to pay for food and lodging. To put it bluntly, the whole temple system hurts the faithful poor. But the system remains in place because the religious leaders and the merchants and the money changers all benefit. Why would they want anything to change? The system is working for them. Their revenue stream continues, and it's no great hardship for them to make their offerings. But the system is not working for all of God's people. And indeed, the system is even harming some of God's beloved people. Whenever we catch ourselves clinging tightly to an established system and familiar ways of doing things, we need to ask ourselves if we are acting like these religious leaders in today's gospel reading and clinging to things that benefit me or some of us, but not all of us together. After all, I am the church. You are the church. We are the church together. Within this Bible story, the character that most intrigues me isn't a person or an animal, but rather it is an inanimate object. The tables that Jesus topples. Because I know what it is to feel like my life is stable and secure, and then something happens to turn everything upside down. I suspect that you know what that feels like too. This pandemic has changed so much. And add to that, a nation that seems more divided than ever, while we are becoming more diverse than ever. And there's a whole lot that makes us feel topsy-turvy and unsettled. When will it end? How will everything become right side up? I do not have the answers to those questions. But this I do know. For all of us who are feeling like overturned tables, it is important to remember that tables are very important, life-giving, community-building tools. Tables draw people together over food and conversation. Jesus spent so much of his ministry at table with all sorts of different people. Jesus brought out the best in so many people through their time shared at table. And Jesus invites us again and again to come to his table, the Lord's table, Holy Communion, where we receive his life-giving gifts of love and mercy and forgiveness and vision for the future that God is calling us into. A future where we embrace and embody and celebrate that I am the church. You are the church. We are the church together.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to give us a like and even a comment. And please, please, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel.